about the subject, because we believe we have identified four human rights that you deserve in using a program, namely the four freedoms that define free software. But when we try to bring these ideas to the attention of the public, and even to the attention of the users of our own system, we have to surmount two large obstacles. One is the users don't know it's our system. They don't know that they're using the GNU system. They think that they're using Linux, and that the system was developed by Mr. Torvalds in 1991, and they know that he doesn't care about freedom for the users. So when they see the articles where we explain these ideas of freedom, they say to themselves, oh, this is another piece of propaganda from GNU. Why should I read that? After all, I'm a Linux user. And when they say Linux, they're actually talking about the GNU system. How ironic. If only they knew that they're users of the GNU system, and that the system that they probably like exists because of these ideas, they might pay more attention to these ideas. We would have a chance to convince them, and we would convince some of them. And that way, our movement for freedom would be stronger. But today, we have to overcome another obstacle, which is that they don't know the term free software either. Most of the people who talk about our software don't call it free or elefthero. They have another term. They call it open source. That term was invented in 1998 by the people who didn't agree with us as a way of hiding our ideals. You see, during the 1990s, as the GNU plus Linux system started to catch on among techies, many of them appreciated it for practical reasons. It was powerful, reliable, efficient, flexible, and you could run it cheaply. So they recommended it to others, but they didn't think or talk about freedom. So we, of course, tried to tell them about freedom. So in the 90s, there were two camps in our community, two political camps. There were those of us who valued freedom and social solidarity, and there was the other camp of people who only valued practical convenience, people like Torvalds. In 1998, that second group invented the term open source, which had not been used before. So they were able to choose which ideas to associate with it and which ideas to leave out. And they chose to leave out the entire ethical level of the issue. So they never say that there are freedoms that you deserve in using software. They don't say that proprietary software is an injustice. Instead, they say that they recommend a development method which is likely to result in software of higher quality. So the only values they appeal to are values of convenience. Higher quality software, that's a convenience value. And by focusing on that, they can direct people's attention far away from the issue of freedom, which for us is the central point. Well, even in 1998, there were already a number of businesses involved with free software. They developed free software or distributed free software or both. But most of them were also connected with proprietary software. And they did not want to teach the users to value freedom, because if the users valued freedom, they would not be potential customers for proprietary software. So these businesses preferred to say open source. And of course, the politicians and the journalists mostly followed the businesses. So ever since then, when people hear about our work, usually they hear it described as, quote, open source, unquote, and they get entirely the wrong idea of what its purpose is and what the ideas are that motivated it. So ever since then, in order to spread the free software ideas, we have to drive it home to people that we are not supporters of open source, and we don't think the same thing that those people say. In fact, I've seen articles that described me as the father of open source. I sent letters to the editor saying, if I'm the father of open source, then it was conceived through artificial insemination using stolen sperm without my knowledge or consent. I used that joke to introduce an explanation of the philosophical difference and thus inform people about the free software movement. And that's what I'm doing here today. That's what we have to do constantly, because when people talk about our work, if they associate our work with the wrong ideas, they're not helping us at all. So we need your help to tell people these ideas of free software and freedom. People need to start to see how proprietary software restricts them and how it frequently is designed to put handcuffs on them. They have to recognize that this is an injustice, it's an evil system, and we have to put an end to it. And then they can join us in help. So we're going to need you to help us do this. Now, you can do a lot of work to help. You can learn to give speeches like this one. That would be really useful. You can get involved in free software activist organizations. That's also a very effective way to help. You can also help by writing free software. We need more of that too. But we actually have more people writing free software than we have campaigning for software freedom. So the place we need you most is at the campaigning level. Because it's very easy to lose your freedom. Life offers you lots of opportunities to throw away your freedom. Lots of people will offer you some kind of increased convenience if only you let him have certain kinds of power over you. And if you haven't learned to recognize why that's foolish, you might do it. So, if we want to establish freedom in a lasting way, it's not enough just to give people freedom. We have to teach people to want freedom as well. So if we could magically get free software tomorrow to do all the jobs that people want to do, we could give that out to people, and then tomorrow they could all have freedom. But would they still have freedom in 5 years? Not necessarily. Because if they didn't appreciate the freedom that they would have, they might accept an offer to gain some convenience by giving up their freedom again. And we can see how easy this is by looking at our own community's history. Several times in the free software community, among the users of the GNU/Linux system, we had freedom, and then most of us lost it because our community did not pay attention. In 1992, when Linux was combined with the almost complete GNU system, it made the GNU/Linux system, and you could get a PC and install the system, but it wasn't easy. You had to be an expert then. So people started making it easier. They made distributions of GNU/Linux designed to make it easier to install. And so a few years later, there were several distributions competing.